What's up, everybody? I'm B the Installer. Here's Jen.
Hi.
And we have the TCL Q7 QLED TV. Excited to unbox. Let's get going. We'll talk about it more as we go.
Sounds good.
So this is the second best TCL QLED TV this year, the Q7. I'm really excited to see how it stacks up against some of the other TVs we've unboxed. Even put it up against the 98-inch over there from last year. It's probably brighter. I think it's a really good value TV because to get a TV from another brand like Samsung, Sony, or LG that can compete with the quality of this, it's gonna be far more expensive. Full array local dimming QLED with Dolby Vision, IMAX enhanced, with great gaming features for $1698. Started out at $2,200. I think it could be as low as $1,000 come Black Friday or during the holiday. So definitely a TV to keep your eyes on, and I'm excited to see how it stacks up against other TVs we've reviewed and even this TCL 98-inch. So let's take a look. So what do we got in the box here, Jen? Do we have feet, remote, a manual, and maybe a power cord?
I think you're right. I think you're right. How'd you know?
I don't know. This isn't the first time, I guess. Pretty basic feet. There you go. Remote looks a little different. Looks a little longer. We'll check that out in a bit, I guess. That's everything? Mm-hmm. All right. I guess we got to take these tabs off. Wait, do we? This box isn't going to open, so can we lift it up over?
No, it's going to open.
Here. Huh? Your side has opening?
Yeah.
I don't have an opening.
I got an opening.
Can open it from this side and take the box and slide it out because you don't want to have it hit the ceiling or tip over or anything. Right. Pull it this way. TCL doesn't mess around. They got a lot of protective material for this TV.
Always use two people and very obviously bend at the knees. Only grasp bottom base and lower side of TV. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do this where you lay your TV down on a table.
So it looks like we could open the box and take the ends off and put the feet on that way, but it does show us laying it down. So we'll do that. Should we just take these off, Jen, and we'll set them underneath the front of the TV here? And then we can do the side pieces here and put those down as well. And then we'll lift it out and lay it down. Sound good?
Okay.
There we go. Lay it down. It's a pretty light TV.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, we did like the couple of the Sonys and Samsungs. They're much heavier than that.
So dense.
Very dense.
Hey, look at this. This is cool to point out. It actually says right or left. So that's really nice, but you just need to know your right from your left.
I was gonna say, do you know which one we're, just kidding.
Well, I write with this one.
There you go. So that's your left?
Sure. Hey, Brandon, why are girls so odd?
Why?
Because they can't even.
Good one.
Oh, I know.
Took me a minute to get that. I was a little slow on that.
So that's the right side?
Yes. I think so.
Okay, so I was making a joke, but this is actually left from when you're facing the front of the TV. So that is something to be aware of. Now, you do need to match up the little puzzle pieces. So still, if you don't know your right from your left, you can still figure it out that way.
I got it.
Got it? Thanks. Got the legs on. You want to stand it up?
Let's do it. Looks like we can just tip it right up, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And let's get this plastic off.
Woo!
Is it really that exciting, Jen?
It is so exciting because I see these big bubbles and I can't wait to feel this plastic.
Oh, it's almost plastic peeling time.
Yeah.
Let's get the stand. Let's put the stand in front here and
Let's
stand
do
it up there. So for those of you who are going to ask in the comments, this is the IKEA Besta frame. We used two of them with some just random doors that we chose, doors and drawers. I think it was around $600 for this whole thing, and it works really well for putting a TV up like this because it's hard to find a stand that's that big out in the market. Much more expensive. You ready to do this?
Bend at the knees.
Bend, it's not even heavy. I can bend at the back for this one.
Look, the picture said no.
I can bend at the back.
You've got a lot more TVs like this and bigger that you need to pick up. I need to keep you healthy.
Bend at the knees. Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So my initial thoughts, Jen, are that this TV looks fairly thin for a QLED TV that's not mini LED. It does look pretty, mid-range. The feet are, one position. But overall, I'm excited to get at this. What do you think?
I'm excited to get at that plastic. That's all I can think of.
All right, you better get to it then.
Okay.
Got it. Oh.
Coming back around. Oh.
Wow, that was not as smooth as I thought it would go.
I know. I
But-
thought it was going to be incredibly smooth, and it gave me a little bit of fight. I like a little fight, though.
Okay, well, there you go. I see the reflective, it's got some of that rainbow effect going on, so it's probably gonna have pretty good anti-reflective capabilities.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with you.
Okay. And on the back, we have all the HDMI ports and everything to the left here. So on the back left, we have your typical ports. We have the Ethernet on the top there. Then we have 4 HDMI ports. The top 2 are high-speed 2.1 HDMI ports. One is 4K at 144 hertz, which is awesome, and then 4K 120 for the other. And then you have 2 that are 4K 60, 3 and 4. And the number 4 is actually the eARC port. So you don't have to use one of the high-speed ports for the eARC to connect your soundbar or speaker system. So I know a lot of people will be happy about that. Then you have your cable antenna connection, USB, headphones, and you have your optical out. So pretty standard stuff there. And then we have this 600 by 400 millimeter VISA pattern. So again, that's pretty standard. You can get away with almost all of the larger mounts for mounting this on the wall, arm mount, flat mount, whatever. We did a video on that. If you want to pick the correct mount, go and check that video out. But let's find the remote and turn this thing on, Jen.
Well, here we go with the remote. It's definitely larger than last year's, but it's got a lot of the things that you really want. Obviously, the power button, we've got our settings, the directional pad, we have our channel and volume up. You can use the numbers if that's something you're into, and then we have our specialty buttons down here. And then one of the things that we really love about this is it's backlit. How about that? We haven't seen that on a TCL remote before, so I'm very excited about that. All right, well, let's turn it on.
Before we get to some content, I want to thank ShipStation for sponsoring this video. These unboxings can be tedious, and I wish the TCL Q7 had an automated on-screen setup because we've been using ShipStation, which saves us time by automating our shipping and returns through their simple dashboard.
They also keep costs down with their industry-leading discounts, which are up to 84% off of UPS and USPS rates. You can automate shipping tasks, print ship labels, and easily compare rates and delivery times to optimize every shipment. I would have loved to have this when we were shipping TV mounts back in the day one by one. That was so tedious, and it took way too much time on a daily basis. If you've ever created hundreds of shipping labels in a single day, there's no doubt you would sign up for ShipStation and never look back. ShipStation easily integrates everywhere you sell online, including Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and more. And if you've been on the fence about trying ShipStation, they're currently offering a free 2-month trial when you use our code INSTALLER. So spend more time growing your business when you automate shipping tasks with ShipStation, and join the over 130,000 companies that have already done the same by going to shipstation.com/installer today to sign up for your free 60-day trial. That's shipstation.com/installer for your free 60-day trial today.
All right, we're back, and here we have the Google operating system home screen. And I think that's a great spot to start because if you're gonna buy a TCL TV, I like the Google operating system more so than the Roku TV, you know.
Same, I like it.
This is much faster. I feel like I like the apps better. Roku TV is good for people that are not tech savvy. So if you are just clunk, 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 and moving around your operating system, it's not too bad. But for most people, if you have a Google account, there's a lot of stuff on this that's great. A million apps, kind of like separates all the different things so you can, you know, resume watching some of the things you were watching before. There's all kinds of movies and shows and everything's separated on here. You can, you know, even pick different profiles depending on how many people in the house have different Google profiles. So I really like this. It also has the TCL channels, which I didn't really use much, but I am liking. There is a ton of different content you can get for free. So if you don't have cable like most people don't want to these days, you have all that. Jen loves the Hallmark, right?
I love the Hallmark.
And of course, Kitchen Nightmares, one of our
yeah.
favorite free TV
Good
shows to
stuff.
watch.
Yep.
So those are things that we've watched on systems like this before. So now we're into some content here, watching YouTube TV, some sports like we do,
Always.
And we're gonna get to a couple critiques at the end and also some buying advice. So stick around to that, but I wanna keep it positive at first. And right off the bat, I noticed it looks pretty nice. So this is the second tier TCL. There is one higher and one lower in the QLED lineup this year. And it looks pretty good. It's very sharp. A lot of the times when we're watching YouTube TV on these sorts of TVs, you get little pixelations, you get, it's not quite as sharp. And when comparing it to this TV here, which is a 98-inch TCL, I find it to be a little brighter, a little sharper, but this is larger, so there is, less pixel density, I guess, but I noticed this is definitely sharper and brighter than the R754 98-inch here. So one thing I noticed that the TV was getting dimmer on occasion, and it was reacting to the room's ambient light. So we had to make sure that the energy saving settings were turned off, that we had it on a mode like movie mode instead of the eco mode. And then third, there's also the intelligent settings. So you wanna have that turned off if you don't want it to react, but you can leave that on if you're gonna be in a dark or bright room. Often it will adjust. And it's pretty cool, but just not for reviewing because then I can't tell how bright this TV really gets. But overall, I think the TV looks fantastic. I'm having a hard time thinking that this is a lower priced or a mid-tier TV. Like it looks like a pretty high-end TV. What do you think?
Well, I think I have a problem with the content because I want to see more Steelers stuff and not quite so much Jets and Sean Payton drama.
I'm not a big fan of seeing all this Aaron Rodgers stuff in the Jets either because I'm a Packers fan.
He's outta
So
here.
Get out of here, Aaron Rodgers. But let's move on to some HDR movies. So we're watching Avatar: Way of Water, and we've seen this on other TVs that we brought into the house this year. And I have to say again, I'm pretty impressed with this TCL Q7 for it being what's a mid-tier TV for TCL, or the second best TV. I think it just looks really sharp. A lot of times we're watching Disney Plus and things just don't look this good on it, whether it be the way that it streams or if the TV is not as sharp or it's pixelating, or just the TV itself is not as good. I think this Q7 is showing itself to be better than most TVs that you'll get around this price point. Now, when we're watching a darker scene, it isn't perfect contrast and OLED level, small highlights, but still it's pretty good. And overall, I like it a lot. And now we're watching something a little bit brighter. I think you've made comments before about the brightness of this movie. What did you say?
Yeah, my retinas were burning.
Yeah, so it's a good one to test. So if it's burning Jen's retina, it's over 1,000 nits. And if it's not, I'm just kidding. But I think this TV, it says it can get up to 1,000 nits. I feel like it's gonna be more in the 800 to 900, maybe even a little under 800 nit range, which is similar to this LED TV that we have here from TCL. But again, to have 800-900 nits is brighter than some other TVs like the Sony X90L, which is right around that range and about twice the price of this one. So overall, I think it looks really good when watching HDR movies. Just on the darker scenes, it's not quite as bright as you could get with an OLED. And so, that's a big price difference right there. You're talking OLED a few $1,000s, this around $1,600. And with this darker scene, it gives me an opportunity to talk about a couple of the tests that we've done, and then we're gonna get into gaming, and then finally some buying advice. But the reflection handling on this is similar to the TV over here, where it's not quite as good as an OLED. So if we're combining these things like the scene isn't great on a darker scene with more ambient light in your room, then you may have a bit of an issue seeing some content in a bright room all the time. So now, a lot of people have the opportunity to draw the shades down, and so it's not a big deal. Like, people probably aren't watching these movies all during the day, but I can see that light reflecting from our camera, and I can see it pretty much right in the center of the TV. And when you throw on some interior room lights, you can clearly see that there's not quite enough brightness in some scenes to overcome the the big lights that we have in the room. Then another test we did is the blooming test. Why are you laughing at me?
It's the blooming test. Just do the blooming test.
All right, so the blooming test. And this TV is actually quite good at handling the blooming. A lot of these TVs that are more expensive have poor blooming control, and you don't always notice it on content, but when we do tests, it doesn't look very good. More or less, this looks really good. Even off angle, we were looking at this, and I don't see a whole lot of blooming. So again, this is not a mini LED TV. It's the second tier Q7, which is multiple $100s less than the top QM8. And I find the blooming, quite manageable, and overall the picture looks really good when you play real content for that. Now, we did have this test running for a while, and then I did notice that around the blue objects, for some reason, there was a little bit of a blue halo. Do you see that on the screen? A little bit of like extra blue floating around it?
Yeah, a little bit.
So I don't know if that's this, this video, or if there is a little bit of like color light bleeding in this, but more or less, I'm still very satisfied overall with the picture quality and the blooming tests.
And we never watch this content.
Okay, yeah. I rarely watch circles going around my TV. That's a good point. But let's move on to the dirty screen effect test. So here's where things get a little bit trickier. Now, overall, I'd have to say the dirty screen does not look too bad at all. There's not a ton of blotchy areas. We do see a little bit here and there that, most of these TVs aren't perfect with this test. But what I did notice is at the bottom of the screen, you see a little bit of yellowing, and same at the top of the screen. Do you see that?
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. It's not too bad, and I didn't notice it when we were watching most content. But then also, when the guy's going around the room here and the change in light, there's a little bit of flickering with regards to the local dimming as well. So, if you have that off, I don't think it's as noticeable, but when you have this, what's called, local contrast on, their version of a dimming algorithm, you do see a little flickering in the entire backlight. Now, could that be because this TV is a little bit less expensive than some of the other TVs we compare it to? Maybe so, maybe so. Is it just our TV that has that yellow around the edge? That also could be. And more expensive TVs from all the different brands have this panel variance where one can be different than the other, or yours could be different than ours. So I'm not making like determinative determinations. I don't think that's how I can say it, right?
I don't think so.
What should I do, English major?
Say I'm not making any definitive determinations.
Definitive determinations, there you go. But it's not great to see that. And when we were watching like HDR video, you could see some discoloration in some scenes when it like spills over the edge of the TV. You could see at the bottom, there's a little bit of discoloration. So that's not great. But when watching, cable and watching movies, I didn't really notice any of that. So we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the buying advice at the end. But first, Jen, I think you need to game a little bit.
Oh, finally.
Let's show them the gaming features.
Let's do it.
All right, so Jen is playing Lego Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
A very high-end, expensive game.
Oh, very much so.
So when we connected the PS5 to the TCL Q7, it enabled game mode, and automatically the TV switched into the game mode and showed us some of the features that this TV has, including the new on-screen menu, which is pretty neat, actually. It's one of the better game menus that I've seen. Look, you can take a screenshot of your game. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, some people might use that. And then, of course, you have some different picture modes you can change to. You can enhance the shadow detail. You have an aiming aid, menu, all these different things. And at the top, you can see PS5 connected in the upper left, 60 frames per second. HDR is on, ALLM is on, and VRR is off. So we don't need VRR, not a whole lot of screen tearing going on in this slower paced game. But overall, the gaming features are pretty awesome. How does it feel to you, Jen? Is it responsive?
Oops, I just lost it.
Oops, that's your answer?
I can't climb. Yeah. No, it feels, it's good. Like, it's obviously not very great graphic quality, but like, I'm really digging that I get to play.
Yeah, so I think that's more the game and not the TV. But overall, I think the TV is going to be great. It does have two 4K at 120 or higher ports. One of them's up to 144 hertz if you're gaming on a PC. And then it does have the eARC port on the fourth HDMI, so you can still do two next-gen consoles or a gaming system and a computer and still have your soundbar connected on a different port. So those are all positive features, and I think overall it's a pretty good gaming TV spec-wise and looks pretty good. So where does this leave us with the TCL Q7? Of course, this is just an unboxing and kind of first impressions, and we'll try to have another review about this after we've viewed it for a while, but I'm pretty impressed overall with this TV. How about you?
It's quite impressive. I mean, look at that bright, like there's got to be some nits, there's got to, it's there.
All right, so anyways, so this is $16.99 right now. It was originally $2,200, And it's already been down to as low as $1,500 for the 85-inch size during Prime Day. And that makes it a pretty good price point for how good the quality is of the TV. Now, we have had a little bit of issue with the dirty screen effect around the edge of this panel, and it may not be like that for other panels, but overall, I don't think that would be something that I'd say, like, don't buy this TV for, because I've seen a lot of the other brands' TVs at this price point, and they are not as good as this. Maybe the only one that has similar quality to this would be something like the Hisense U7H, or this year it'd be the U7K, where it's a good price, good quality, but I think this might even edge that out. And this is just regular LED, it's not even mini LED, so I'm pretty impressed. I'm excited to see the QM8 from TCL, because if that's gonna be even better than this, awesome.
That would be great.
But yeah, you're not gonna get a Sony, an LG, or a Samsung with this kind of brightness and good dimming algorithm and an LED for anywhere near this price. I think the closest thing would be the 85-inch X90L or X90K from last year, but that's gonna be 100 nits or 200 nits dimmer than this. A lot of people would say that the Sony quality is probably something that's above the TCL, and that might be the case, but you're gonna be paying another $500 or more for that Sony from last year, and currently the X90L, I think, is almost $3,000. So it's almost double the price of this TV.
Hey, Brand, didn't you say that this could get down to almost $1,000 in Black Friday sales?
Yeah, I think this will be less expensive as the year goes on. So starting out right now in the middle of the summer for $1,600 for an 85-inch TV, good stuff.
Definitely worth a look.
Yeah, so look for the price to continue to go down. And if you guys need to buy a TV right now, you could take the TV quiz, betheinstaller.com. The link will be in the description below. Kind of go through what your conditions and room size and all these things look like. And it'll pop out a couple TVs that we think might be good for you. So check that out in the description.
So if you want to check out that X90L that he was just talking about, we've got a 98-inch version right here. And then we've also got the Hisense U8K right here that you can take a look at.
See you on the next one.
Bye.